Am I the butthole for not doing the activity my husband picked on vacation even though he did the one I wanted? My husband and I recently went on a long overdue vacation to a tropical island. We stayed at an all-inclusive resort, but we also wanted to get out and actually explore the island as well. So we decided that each of us could pick an activity to do that would get us off the resort for a day. I picked a hike that would bring us up into the mountainous interior of the island and through some rainforests. My husband is not a big hiker, but he agreed to do it with me. My husband narrowed his choices down to two options: a catamaran trip to go snorkeling and dune buggy riding. I get horrible motion sickness. We had some mild turbulence on our flight to the island, and even with the Dramamine I took before we took off, I still got nauseous and lightheaded. I told my husband that both of the ideas he picked are things that I know for a fact would make me motion sick. He told me that it probably wouldn't be that bad, but I told him that I know my body and I know without a doubt that both of those activities would make me sick. I asked him if there were any other activities that he was interested in, but he said those two were the only ones that piqued his interest. He eventually agreed to go on the hike trip first, and then we can figure out the activity that he wants to do. While on our hike, we started talking with another couple that was also staying at our resort. They had been there a couple of times before, and my husband asked if they had done either of the activities that he wanted to do. They had done both and said that both were a lot of fun. But the wife did say that the catamaran trip was pretty rough at times and a couple of people on their trip got seasick. She also said that the dune buggy was fun because you get to drive it yourself, but it's mostly on dirt tracks that can get pretty bumpy. From the way she described it, I knew that if I did either of those things, I would get sick. When we got back from the hike, I told my husband that I don't want to do either of the activities he wants to do and asked again if he can please pick something else for us to do. He said those were the only two things he liked, and if I don't want to do them, we won't, because he doesn't want to go alone. I knew he was upset because he was really excited talking about both the things he wanted to do, and after I told him I wouldn't do them, his demeanor definitely changed. I wouldn't say he was sulking, but he was definitely less animated and not his usual fun self. He pretty much spent the rest of our trip just sitting around the pool doing nothing. I tried to get him to do things with me, like get a massage, but he told me to go do that myself. When he didn't change his attitude, I finally asked him what was up, and he told me that he went outside of his comfort zone to go on a hike with me, but I wouldn't do the same for him. I told him that hiking doesn't make him sick, so that's a big difference, but he told me I could have at least tried one of them. You're the butthole. You could have tried the dune buggy with him and stopped if it was a problem, at which time he might have been happy continuing on his own, or driven your own behind him and gone slower. You didn't even try. Going with everybody sucks here. I 100% understand you not wanting to risk motion sickness on your vacation, and I think your husband is an off for expecting you to just try it when you're getting nauseated on airplane rides. Edited to add, you were transparent that you didn't want to do those things for a totally legitimate reason. I also understand feeling disappointed that he put a damper on things when he didn't get to do what he wanted. However, I feel like where you lose me is the deal you made where you got to do what you wanted, and he was left feeling like he missed out. If you couldn't agree on activities you both liked or follow through on the compromise of you both getting to plan a day, you could have agreed to just not do anything off resort. My wife and I have done the all-inclusive thing, and there is plenty of fun to be had just enjoying each other's company on the beach or by the pool. Many offer events at night like music or dancing, etc. You pushing him to do the thing you like, but no, he doesn't, all while knowing full well that you were never going to do the things he was excited about, is a pretty selfish move. Y'all should have planned better in advance and made sure you were both happy with what was planned versus making sure your desires were covered and agreeing to figure out what he wanted while you were already on vacation. You played a game of chicken where you both assumed the other would roll over, and instead, you both lost out. Just try to communicate better next time. You're the butthole. What is the point of making a deal when you refuse his first two picks? You can take Dramamine and ginger, etc. that helps with motion sickness. I can get why you wouldn't go on a catamaran, but a buggy ride where you are completely in control of the movement of the vehicle? You have a great husband for putting up with you, I'll tell you that. Am I the butthole for telling my son's teacher to speak to me, not my girlfriend? This happened a few weeks ago, but the situation was brought up again recently. I, 28 male, have a son, Nathan, 6 male. I'm his sole parent because his mother lost the custody battle. His school was made aware of this when I removed his mother's details from their system, and his current teacher for grade 1 has not met my ex. Due to the nature of the custody battle, his teacher does know about my ex for safety reasons, as she has been barred from coming to the school to get him. Basically, she knows that if she ever sees me with a woman, it is definitely not my ex. His school has parent-teacher meetings twice a year, once before the Christmas break and another at the end of the academic year. I've been dating my girlfriend, Venus, 24 female, for the past 8 months, and she has an amazing relationship with my son. He likes her a lot, and he asked me if she could come with me to the parent-teacher conference because he wanted her to hear that he's doing well at school. My son used to struggle with English as his mother tongue is Spanish. My Spanish is okay but Venus is fluent, so she helped him improve his English speaking by tutoring him. At the meeting, I noticed that the teacher was only speaking to Venus. She was making eye contact with her and only directing conversations to her. I found this annoying because although I know most primary parents are women, the teacher is well aware that I'm Nathan's sole parent. Venus kept redirecting the conversation to me and I did ask a few questions but the teacher would speak to me for a few seconds, and then go back to speaking to Venus only. Eventually, I said I'm sorry to interrupt you but I'm Nathan's father and I'd appreciate it if you spoke to me. The teacher seemed taken back and irritated but she apologized and spoke to me for the rest of the meeting. I told my brother-in-law, sister's husband, about what happened and he thinks I overreacted. He said that while he does find it annoying when teacher only speak to my sister at meetings, he understands that it's not out of malice and just a force of habit since mothers tend to be more involved than fathers. He also said it was my fault for bringing Venus along to the meeting. He thinks it was an butthole move for me to interrupt the teacher and make her feel like she did something wrong for something that was most likely not malicious. It was brought up again at Christmas because Venus spent it with my family and my mother asked Venus if she had Nathan's inhaler and my Bill interrupted and said careful, my mom's name, Mark, me, might freak now. I would like to put this situation to rest. Am I the butthole? Edit, I did tell the teacher that Venus was my girlfriend as soon as we sat down. Not the butthole. The teacher clearly knew you were a sole parent and yet she directed all her conversation to Venus, whom she is obviously meeting for the first time. She doesn't even know if Venus is involved in Nathan's life or not. Also, you were not mean or rude to the teacher so your brother's comments are uncalled for. Not the butthole, but your Bill is. That's your son, and you should be the one the teacher addresses, especially since she knows you have custody and Venus isn't his mother. Am I the butthole because I told my daughter she can't learn sign language? My daughter is almost 13 and she wants to learn sign language. It's not offered at her school and she would need to go to the local community college to take the course there with a bunch of adults. She obviously need parental approval to enroll as well. For their extracurricular activities I feel it's important for my kids to have some kind of physical activity or sport to keep them healthy, and taking this course would interfere with her riding lessons which would need to be moved around. She already added on rock climbing this upcoming year which is also eating up a bit of her time since she wants to go 2 or 3 times a week which I wasn't expecting. She's saying she can manage doing all of it but I know her riding is getting out on a back burner and she's not going to compete at the level she has been if she does all these extra activities. There is also a lot going on for us and finances and debt are an issue which she doesn't know much about to not worry the kids. The local community college tuition isn't extreme, but it would be a couple $100 for a class and that's not in the budget right now. My husband feels we should let her take the class and we can pull the money from somewhere, and that if her reading suffers then either she will learn she needs to drop something else, be content with the outcome for the level of effort she made, or drop riding for other interests. Then apparently she complained to my brother since I said no, and in private he offered to pay for her class because she wants to take it so badly. Now I just feel embarrassed that he's getting involved in our business and that she's complaining to everyone that I'm a terrible mother. She only wants to take the class because my brother is also learning sign language right now and she's decided to do everything he does, so maybe this will blow over if I tell her she can take the course next school year. Does she even want to have riding lessons and compete? Because it sounds a little more like I want her to compete because that's how I planned and this is what I want. She's 13. She's ready to hear that all of her extra activities cost money and it's getting too much. Tell her and let her choose what she wants. Maybe she'll resign from sign lessons, maybe from horse riding. She's old enough to decide and it looks like she really likes rock climbing so there is some kind of physical activity. You're just stuck on those riding lessons. A bit for you're the butthole for not letting her choose. I get the distinct impression that your daughter's riding is important to you. Pretty expensive activity with tight finances. You're the butthole. You're the butthole. If finances and debt were a problem, you wouldn't be paying for riding lessons and competitions. She wants to learn another language and it's a very useful language at that. Let her. You're the butthole for claiming financial stress but putting a priority on horse riding. In another comment you said you feel like riding is your only way to connect with her but trust me, there are plenty of other ways to connect. Edit, bonus UTA because the rock climbing membership was a gift, no cost to OP. Don't claim to have money problems when you don't, that's gross. Am I the butthole for calling my ex-mother-in-law on my ex-husband for how he dressed our child? We live in Alabama. For the past week, our mornings have been greater than 30 degrees and warming up to the mid-40s. I don't think we've seen 50 degrees for quite some time. When we were married, he conceded to a request that I made that our 2-year-old child during the winter months be adequately bundled up and always wears an undershirt to keep her chest warm and a hat to keep her head warm. That means at all times during the winter, she's wearing a minimum of 2 layers on her chest and has a hat on her head when she's outside. The reason why I say he conceded to this is because he loves cold weather and has always been the shorts, hoodie, and flip-flops kind of guy during cold weather months. Well, since we divorced, he's basically thrown that out the window and refuses to put undershirt on our child. On my weeks, she is always wearing one and I always send her to his house fully clothed with one on. When I get her back the next week, he has her dressed in maybe pants, t-shirt and a jacket. The final straw was this past week I was off work, and he wasn't in daycare, was closed, so he asked if I could watch her. I said sure, no problems. Just bring her to daycare, mommy, at normal daycare time to keep her schedule. When he dropped her off, I about blew a gasket because he had our 2-year-old dressed in a sweater, nothing underneath it, and shorts. That's it. Took her inside immediately and put some clothes on her and asked him why in heaven's name is she dressed like this. He said that she was only outside for 5 minutes, so he saw no point in putting a full outfit on her. I reminded him that it's winter time and her body is still learning how to regulate temperature and she needs to be covered. She also needed to at least have a shirt underneath sweater, because what if she got hot and we took the sweater off? She'd be naked. He just shrugged and went about his way saying it's not that serious. I called his mother, who I'm still on good terms with. I told her what happened and she was furious. She called him and scolded him, telling him to at least have 2 layers on the child just in case. He then texted me back calling me all types of dramatic and whatnot, saying it was uncalled for to talk to his mother, but I honestly felt there was no other way to get through to him. Am I the butthole? See, this is why they say it takes a village, when it comes to raising kids. Because sometimes, there are only certain people the village idiot will listen to. Not the butthole, and I can see why he's an ex. Not the butthole. My hubs is like your ex. Goes out in the snow as shorts and a hoodie. But he still dressed both our boys appropriately every time. If I were his mom, I'd have torn him a new butthole too. People's personal feelings about this kinda crap do not apply when keeping a child safe. Good on you for standing up for your baby. Well, as far as hubby's visitation/custody arrangement is concerned, tattling to his mother was probably less dramatic than taking it to the courts to settle. Of course, the actual drama level of calling his mom to tattle on him depend on the ex-mill. Not the butthole. Well, better his mother than CPS. Not the butthole. Am I the butthole for not calling Mill to apologize after reviewing the security footage? I am currently planning a wedding with my incredible fiancé Ryan. Ryan's mom, Kate, does not approve, to say the least. She has been pretty rude to me over the years and I know she doesn't like me. Ryan has lowered contact a lot due to this, but I do suck it up sometimes because she is his mom. We decided to invite her for a brief visit as it is the holiday season. We are in the midst of wedding planning right now and of wedding stuff all over the house. The latest addition is this gorgeous sculpture made of white and pink roses of Cinderella's carriage. Wedding is having a slight princess theme, which Kate claims is cheesy. Ryan and I went out to run some errands and left Kate home as she said she would cook dinner. When I got home, the carriage was ruined and Kate was acting weird. She said it didn't matter what happened because she knows we are going to think the worst of her and she knows her son is never going to defend her. I lost it and began crying while Ryan demanded to know what happened. Kate's boyfriend insisted it was an accident, but Kate said it didn't matter and she would pack her stuff and leave. At this point I totally thought she did it on purpose and lost it. I screamed at her and, to be honest, said some hurtful things about her divorce and losing her son. Kate packed her stuff and went. Ryan then suggested we check out the security camera. So we did and she was spinning and fell. She had been drinking a lot of wine. In the video she immediately began crying and said we were never going to believe her, who would believe this was an accident after our history, and that she just ruined her relationship with her son. Her boyfriend literally said, who cares about their stupid freaking wedding? You are bleeding. When Ryan saw this he called her and tried to apologize, left a voicemail. He asked me to do the same as it was truly an accident. I said I wasn't ready to apologize as she made it all about herself and didn't even try to tell me the truth. She was willing to ruin her relationship with her son instead of trying to be honest, and she didn't correct her boyfriend when he said stupid freaking wedding. Ryan thinks I need to apologize and said he is disappointed in me. A couple family members are agreeing and saying Kate is the victim here. You're the butthole. Can you honestly say you would have believed her had she said it was an accident? Because her boyfriend said it was an accident and you didn't believe him. Your behavior was way out of line. It is a stupid freaking wedding when it comes down to the importance of your family's health versus a sculpture. Everybody sucks here. Mother was drunk and fell over something and broke it. Refused to explain what happened, drama initiated. OP screamed at her and somehow decided to bring her divorce into it. The boyfriend was worried about her injury and bleeding more than he cared about the wedding. This does not make him a bad person. OP should absolutely apologize for the things she said, like apologize in a really, really big way. Mother needs to learn to be a little less dramatic when crap happens while she's drunk. Not the butthole. She's the one who decided to get that drunk. The accident that happened because of that decision is still her fault. Would I be the butthole if I refused to share my inheritance with my step-siblings? My mother, 63, divorced my dad when I, 32 female, was 7, and remarried my stepdad, 58, 2 years later. Stepdad came with my 2 step-siblings, now, male, 30 and 28F. I have no grandparents on my dad's side, and only a granddad on my mother's. My step-siblings had all 4 grandparents. A few years ago, my step-siblings' paternal gran and granddad passed away within 3 months of each other. They never saw me as real family, so I got nothing. Step-sis and bro received $20K each, plus a house which they sold for $250K, splitting the money. Again, I got nothing. My granddad, due to this, has changed his will, so I am the sole beneficiary. This is not much, around $15K. Since he told my mom and stepdad about this, my mom has constantly been on the phone to me begging me to split the inheritance 3 ways with my step-siblings. We are not close. We live far apart, and rarely see each other. My stepsister in particular, doesn't even reach out for birthdays or Christmas, despite me always sending a card and message. I don't feel that I should share my inheritance. Both step-brother and sister own homes, are married, have good jobs. The inheritance could help me pay off some student debts, go into savings so one day I could potentially own my own home. My argument is simple: they did not share their sizable inheritance with me, so but their family argument shouldn't apply. I wasn't good enough family for them at that point. Why should I give them 2/3 RDS of the money, when they wouldn't even lend me 20 for fuel when I was a struggling student and they had over 100K each? I think I'm in the right to refuse, and my granddad and dad are on my side. My mom and stepdad, however, say I'm being a selfish and not thinking of my family. Would I be the butthole if I kept it all? To add, my granddad is 89 and healthy up till now. He is not happy that my mom is causing an argument over him dying when he's not dying. Not the butthole. But all of your justification is unnecessary. It's your grandfather's money. He wants you to have it. The end. Not the butthole. I will happily split my inheritance when I get my share of the inheritance from 3 years ago that I am still waiting on, about 95K, wasn't it? Don't say anything else. If they try to say that's different, say nope, exactly the same. There is no convoluted justification, so don't make or allow there to be one. Not the butthole. Stand your ground, OP. Your mom is owed a line. Am I the butthole for not paying back my date? I, 24 female, was recently asked out by a guy, 27 male, I met at a friend's birthday party. I was deaf interested, so gave it a shot. He planned the first date. He chose to take me to a luxurious restaurant. Unfortunately, there was no chemistry, so I had already mentally checked out halfway through the date. At the end, he paid the bill. He said he was happy to treat me. Fast forward to the next day. We text a bit and I let him know that I am no longer interested. He throws a temper tantrum and immediately asks for the money back. I say no and block him. I've discussed this with our mutual friend and she's horrified. She said he's totally the butthole and planning on cutting him off from the group. She's basically his only connection to the friend circle. On the other hand, another female friend said that I should have paid for my share instead of setting unrealistic expectations. Meanwhile, he started texting me from a different number, calling me all sorts of names. So am I the butthole for not splitting the bill once I knew I wasn't interested anymore? Not the butthole. And also, on the other hand, another female friend said that I should have paid for my share instead of setting unrealistic expectations. This friend is a misogynist. You did not set unrealistic expectations, you went on a date. Not the butthole. He offered to pay for the date, he paid. He can't take it back now. You don't owe him anything. I agree with the mutual friend. Am I the butthole for not giving Mill her choice of my clothes when hers got wet on Christmas and causing a bunch of family drama? We hosted Christmas on Sunday and my husband's family is still fighting over this. Mill is a lot. She does whatever she wants, rules are for other people, not her, and she has never liked me. We just moved into a house with a lake behind it and Mill found a pair of ice skates at our house. I told her not to go on the ice, but her husband and my dad both told her that I don't know what I was talking about and she would be fine. Well, surprise, surprise, she fell through the ice. Thankfully she wasn't deep at all and could easily get out. Her clothes were soaked and unwearable, so everyone just assumed I'd give her something, which was annoying, to be honest. She has never been very nice to me and my husband has clothes she can wear. I didn't want to give her anything expensive or anything I was attached to. I also didn't want to give her anything at all form-fitting because she is smaller than me and would love to gloat about how they were too big. I offered up a pair of footy pajamas with a bunny tail, warm, meant to be baggy, and I only bought them for Halloween and wouldn't be upset if she lost or ruined them. Mill refused and demanded I let her go through my drawer. I told her it was the pajamas or she could put her wet clothes back on. At this point she still refused, and a few other family members began berating me and saying I was being extremely cruel. I'm possessive of my clothes and it is such a personal thing to me. Mill said she would go home in the wet clothes, which was ridiculous. It was freezing out and she weighs maybe 110 pounds, so she struggles to stay warm anyway. Her husband ended up having a pair of sweats in his car and her sister gave her a bathrobe she had gotten for Christmas. Mill refused to speak to me or my husband the rest of the night, and I have been called an evil jerk by multiple people. Mill's mom and sister won't even talk to me. My husband says I was really cruel and he gets that she isn't easy to deal with, but he is ashamed of how I behaved. I mean, they are your clothes. I wouldn't let anyone go through my clothes same size as me or not, that's mine. Everybody sucks here. Mill, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You told her the ice was too thin. Phil and your father didn't know what they were talking about and convinced her not to listen to you. OP, I think you could have come up with something better than a ridiculous pajama and no top, in case wearing the whole thing got too hot. Who cares if she's more petite than you? I understand it could be hurtful to have it pointed out, but I think you were reacting very defensively. You could have gotten a baggy t-shirt and sweatpants for her at least. I understand not wanting her to start going through all your drawers, but offering a few options could have been a kind thing due to and something that would have helped the situation not escalate. I agree that her demands of going through your stuff was over the top though. Edit, typo and spacing. Am I the butthole for not sharing some of my sunscreen with my boyfriend? My boyfriend, 24 male, and I, 22 male, went to the beach on December 25th, as it is common here. It happened to be a sunny day, so you could get a sunburn if you didn't take some self-care measures. Both my parents are dermatologists, so my siblings and I are very aware of the importance of protecting your skin from sunburn and having a proper skincare routine. My BF on the other hand doesn't give a SHT about his skin. No matter how much my parents have tried to convince him to wear sunscreen, he has never done it. When we got to the beach I started putting on my sunscreen and he asked me to share some with him, but I refused to share since it wouldn't make sense to take care of your skin just once because he isn't doing it again. Plus my sunscreen is the one I wear on a daily basis. It's meant to be personal. He got mad at me. I told him to wear a hoodie so he could minimize sunburns, but he refused. Long story short, he got sunburns. My BF's skin was so red and felt hot to the touch and it was painful for him. He called me an off for not sharing with him. He says he hasn't forgiven me yet because it hurts and the sunburn hasn't faded. My dad has seen him to get sunburn relief. My dad calls me the butthole because sharing some with him does cost nothing, but my mom says that this is a lesson for my BF since this is his own fault. My mom had gifted him a sunscreen but he decides not to use it. I refuse to share since it wouldn't make sense to take care of your skin just once because he isn't doing it again. Bah ha 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 ha, what the frick kind of logic is that? You can't be serious. You're the butthole. You're the butthole. Sunscreen is supposed to be personal. What an insane thing to say. You're the butthole. You've been begging him to change and start using sunscreen. He finally makes an effort and asks for some? And you go on an ego trip and shut him down. What's worse, he got a really nasty burn. You basically injured your boyfriend to teach him a lesson. That's sadistic and fricked up. This relationship won't survive. Am I the butthole for not giving my in-laws money I inherited from their son's passing? My soulmate was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer at 32 and passed away less than 2 years after the diagnosis. I was his primary caregiver during his illness, and ended up quitting my own job to take care of him full-time for the last 10 months of his life approx. His treatment was complicated and keeping him at home required 24 hours care, and it was too much for his parents to manage. When I wasn't there I had to hire a nurse. I love him with my entire soul and never ever considered not caring for him. It was just normal to me and his well-being and care took priority over everything else in my life. When he passed, I found myself alone with a car, a dog and an urn. I had no job, no home. We had been living at his parents' until he had to move to the hospice, hadn't maintained friendships in the city we were in, and I had no family other than his in our city. If there was one topic I was always uncomfortable with, it was his will and how he was to distribute money from his life insurance policy. He comes from a wealthier family than I, we weren't married, and I was worried that people would think I manipulated him in order to get money. I told him that, and asked that he makes the decision by himself. He thought this was ridiculous and that his family would never think that I was after his money or that he could even be manipulated, but I was raised in a family where money was an uncomfortable topic anyway and convinced him to leave me out of his decision. He decided to leave me 60% of the money, and 10% to each of his 4 siblings. Nothing to his parents. He said I had left my job for him, had no family nearby to help and no home, and would need help building this back. He also wanted me to pay off my student loan, go back to school and get another degree, and buy a home so I wouldn't have to look for a rental for me and our 80-pound dog. I said, don't you think your parents should get some? And he said that his parents are doing okay, his family has each other, and that I would be the one who would need money. He was confident that people would understand and no one would complain. When he passed, his sister was the executor of his will and asked me if I wanted to give his parents money from the amount he left me since he left them nothing. I said no because I had asked him and he had said no and meant for this money to be mine. I love his parents. But he was right. When he passed I found myself with nothing, just a car, a dog and an urn, unable to work or think, and understood that I would indeed need money to get back on my feet. Am I the butthole? His sister thinks so. I myself don't know. I feel guilty and I try to reassure myself, reminding myself that this is what he wanted. Edit, his parents have never asked for money and other siblings never mentioned it either. They are all angels and I love them very much. The sister I trust is doing what she thinks is best for her family. Edit 2, please be kind to his sister. Beyond what is happening with the will, she lost her brother, and she is family to me. We don't get along, but I do believe she is a good person trying to look after her fam. I am saying this to reply to folks advising me to report her. I would never do this to his sister. Also, I did get the money. I am just feeling terrible about it. I feel like an butthole because the money is a lot, more than 2 years of my annual salary when I was working, and I don't know that giving away a little would make much of a difference. Not the butthole. I am so sorry for your loss of your soulmate. If possible, get an estate lawyer to monitor the distribution. An executor is not supposed to follow anything but the intent and will of the deceased. Not saying the sister will do anything wrong, but watch your own back on this one. Not the butthole, you sacrificed everything to care for him in his final days. It is now time to build your life with his final gift to you. His family will be okay and it's honestly none of their business at the end of the day. Not the butthole. You gave up everything. The parents are fine financially, you are not. I could understand if there was something sentimental, but this is money. He passed wanting to know that you would be okay and not on the street because of him. Not the butthole. Sister can give them money herself if she's concerned, they're her parents. She has a lot of nerve telling you how to spend your money. I hope his parents haven't kicked you out. You sound very vulnerable right now and I suggest you find an unbiased, trusted person to be in your corner even if it's a friend or family that live far away. Am I the butthole for leaving my home telling my husband I won't return unless his family leaves? TLDR, am I the butthole for not wanting to take care of my husband's grandmother when she has 4 people in her home who could? My husband and I share a 1-bedroom house with our 2 under 2 and 3 German Shepherds. We both work. Edit to add, the Sheps are fine. We have 5 acres and do actually train and exercise them. So for context, my 26 female husband's 33 male grandmother, 78 female, had a cancer removal procedure on her face and it left half her face with no skin. She needs wound care, home health once a week. Bandage needs changed every other day though. I told him she could stay temporarily but not long term. We live in a 1-bedroom house with our 2 kids, almost, male, 2-1F, as well as our 3 German Shepherds. She initially stayed 3 weeks. His cousin, 20 female, and I would help with wound care when home health wasn't here. His grandmother expects me to make her 3 meals a day, whenever she wants. I work nights and nap when the littles nap during the day. She will often wake me up because she wants her bandage changed or food during these times. Last week she started yelling at my son while he was playing. She also told me that my dogs are poor dogs because I had them crated. It was for 15 minutes while I cleaned the floor in their paws since it was muddy outside. A week ago, she decided to go home. I told my husband I did not want her coming back. I feel it's important I mention there are 4 capable adults living with her that can take care of her. Went out 2 days later and changed her bandage. I spoke with my SIL, 33 female, about her coming to get the wound care supplies, even offered to meet her somewhere. Well, she never got them. So fast forward to today, the bandage has not been changed in 5 days. His grandmother and niece, 10 female, showed up to our house unannounced at 6:30 a.m., waking all of us including the babies up. I was livid. Not only did my husband not talk to her about staying home, but they just showed up early morning without asking. She lacks boundaries and that's a problem for me. I told my husband I do not want her here as I have too much on my plate. He works 12s MF so childcare is solely on me during that time. I also work, cook, clean, train, groom, and take care of 3 dogs. We got in a huge argument and he thinks I'm unreasonable and that his Nana is just a poor old woman who needs help. I left the house with the kids and he says I'm being a jerk. So, am I the butthole here? 1-bedroom place with 2 kids and 3 dogs? Wow. Not the butthole but your husband sure is. I will never understand for the life of me why these am I the butthole husbands think helping an extended family member at the expense of his family is okay? It's a 1-bedroom apartment FFS. He doesn't see the issue because he's not home for the majority of the week. That's effing bullcrap. He's not your employer, he does not get to order you into jobs you don't want. Being a full-time caretaker is a lot already, let alone all the other factors. He should want you to be able to give your children your full attention. She has 4 other adults that can help her. Tell your husband it's by Nana or by wife. His choice. Not the butthole. You shouldn't be dealing with a Nana. Also, you absolutely should not have 3 big breed dogs cooped up in a 1-bedroom home with 2 small children. It's unfair on the animals and the children. 0. Am I the butthole for refusing to speak another language in my own home? For context, my mum is spending Christmas with me at my house this year, and she traveled from Portugal, our home country, to England, as I immigrated here when I was a teen. So, everything was going well, and although my partner and I know Portuguese, it's our first language, we communicate with each other mostly in English, but out of respect for my mother who doesn't speak Anish, we only speak Portuguese in front of her even if she's not included in the convo out of respect. So, here's what happened. She's really upset with me because I'm upset with her, haha, because she overheard my boyfriend and I having a few conversations in our bedroom, mostly about games, series, whatever, and she felt entitled to ask me, not very politely, and honestly quite aggressively, to stop speaking English in my bedroom with my boyfriend because she can hear the conversation from the living room / kitchen and it bothers her that she can't understand our private chats. I told her how absolutely ridiculous that was and tried to be as polite as possible, but denied doing that, and we keep speak English when alone. So, help me here. Am I the butthole? Private conversation in a separate room from her that she is obviously not a part of? Not the butthole. Sounds like she's upset she can't eavesdrop. Lamau. Not the butthole. I'm mad that I can't eavesdrop on you. Am I the butthole for shaming my brother for asking me for money? My brother, Mike, and his wife of 5 boys. One of them is actually our nephew, Jesse, who is 8, but my brother and his wife 2 years ago when our other brother passed away. Mike and I got into a huge fight over Jesse. I told him that he and his wife could barely take care of themselves and I didn't see how they could afford another mouth to feed. I, on the other hand, am single and have enough money to where I could put Jesse in the best private school, play whatever sports he wanted, and he'd live in a really cool house by the beach. We went to court and I had the backing of CPS. I offered to do a joint guardianship of Jesse, but Mike backstabbed me and filed for sole guardianship. He got it because he and his wife already have kids and none of them are screwed up. It did impact my relationship with everyone. I left it in Mike's court with what my role would be since he has custody. There's been next to no contact in a year. Last week Mike asked me if I could give him a short-term loan because they're drowning financially. There's a medical bill or a car or house repair bill on top of everything else. I asked him how much he needed to clear everything and start back at zero, and he said $20,000. That is not a lot of money to me, but I shamed him for not thinking the guardianship through. Now he's paying the piper and asking the brother who he backstabbed for a bailout. He's not the super dad that he pretends to be. Plus Jesse is bombing in school and I can only imagine how difficult it must be to get individual attention outside bath time. Everything else is just family time. I agreed to give him the money on the condition that he and I file for a joint guardianship next year. The goal is for Jesse to live with me. His nasty wife is accusing me of being a bully and an ass with money. Edit, my brother simply thought Jesse would be better off in a house full of kids. After he won guardianship, I expected him to initiate a relationship with me and Jesse since he has custody. That's what I would have done. Edit, absolutely Jesse would have a better life with me. He needs individual attention and not group attention. CPS recommended me, not my brother, as guardian. Everybody sucks here. None of you are looking out for the best interests of the kid, and you're using him as a pawn in your fight. The fact that you said a really cool house by the beach makes me think that you're super entitled and don't really live in the normal world. Given your brother's behavior over the guardianship and the near zero contact, not the butthole. Given their financial situation that you describe, it sounds unlikely that the $20,000 loan would ever be repaid. It would be a gift. Everybody sucks here. Bouncing Jesse around again? Offering help in exchange for guardianship of a child? It just seems all ick. Your brother is an ass for backstabbing you or going against the agreement. It's unfortunate that you couldn't work together for what's best for the child. If you want what's best for the kid, why does he need to live with you for you to help or help financially anyway? Not that you're obligated to pay your brother bills, but you could be helping Jesse more regardless. Put bullcrap aside and think of the kid who lost their father. You both can do better for him. Am I the butthole for telling my girlfriend she needs to contribute more financially? Hi, I'm new here, so please excuse any layout issues. My 26 male partner, 25 female, and I have been living together for just over a year. She works in veterinary and I'm a quantity surveyor. I earn just less than double what she earns due to her being on minimum wage and taking home £1,450 a month. I pay all house bills, all food shopping every week, I pay for every takeaway, every day out, Every holiday, new furniture, renovations, contractors who need to come fix issues, etc. To put it simply, if there is anything that needs paying for in the house or in our lifestyle as a couple, I pay for it. And I don't mind it because I'm a main wage earner. My partner contributes £250 a month to the house. Due to the rising cost of living crisis, our electric bill has doubled, our mortgage bill is due to raise by £300 a month, and food is now considerably more expensive, so I asked if she could start sending me £400, £450 a month instead. To say this was met with disgust is an understatement. She claims that she can't afford to pay anymore and that she doesn't have any money after paying for her car and phone to contribute. She claims I'm being selfish and says I earn enough to cover it, so I shouldn't ask for more from her. I said that yes, I earn enough to cover it, but I am a strong believer both partners should make a strong contribution to a household, especially when they both work full-time. I am only asking her to pay 25% of the total bills and I will cover the remaining 75%. I reminded her that I also pay for all days out, takeaways, etc. and never once ask for a penny from her. I also pay for all of our pets, including food, vet bills, medication and litter. Am I being unreasonable asking her to pay slightly more to help cover the rising costs? Or does she have a point that I am the main wage earner so I should cover it? Not the butthole. She's contributing a little over 1/6 of her income to your shared expenses, and it sounds like you're contributing a lot more than that. She's effectively living beyond her means and needs a reality check. Not the butthole, but you also set yourself up for this by ever allowing a situation where a mere 17% of her income goes towards housing, food, and bills. What exactly does she do with her other cash? I'm not sure. You're getting taken advantage of. Not the butthole. She's make half as much as you. If you contribute 75% and she contributes 25%, she's therefore contributing a third of what you are, and that's discounting the dates and everything else you pay for. Why is she not able to contribute this much? Am I the butthole for being ungrateful at my boyfriend's Christmas gift? Am I the butthole? My BF asked me for a specific gift for Christmas. It was a set of books he had been looking for and the cost was just over $100 on sale. I was really excited to get him this as he had been talking about it for a while. I told him I wanted a specific gift as well. About the same price, specifically perfume. I gave him a list of the exact ones that I like and what I wear. Well, Christmas comes around and he is super excited to see his gift. I unwrap a Christmas gift of Bath & Body Works shower gel and a candle. He tells me it's scented and perfumey just like what I wanted. No, it's not. I want real perfume. Not cheap Bath & Body Works stuff you get your sister or mom on the holidays. I don't think I'd be so mad if I hadn't gotten him that exact gift he wanted. So, am I the butthole? Not the butthole if he were hypothetically incapable of buying you the name brand perfume. There are specific companies that basically make replicas of the same perfume for cheaper. It takes a little research, but that'd be a little more thoughtful than just cheaping out on Bath & Body Works, which I know from personal experience gives some PPL headaches. Not the butthole. My opinion. He doesn't care what you want and probably never will. He did what was easy for him to do. Why? Because he comes first. Not the butthole. Shower gel is the cheapest body care item they sell. Did he even give you a 3-wick, or did he scrimp further with a bitty single wick? With sales, he probably spent about $20 to $30 max, probably far less. And he expected, no demanded, gratitude? He is the butthole here. I remember the year I got dollar store construction paper. I'm a semi-professional artist, for Christmas after being asked for a $300 game system. Not the butthole, but I'd personally end a relationship over that. He asked for $100 plus and only gave you, what, $30? Yay, that would never happen again. For me, it was in-laws who did this, so I'm able to go petty. Now I get them something off their list and something cheap. The cheap one goes under the tree and the list item stays behind until I find out what they got me. If they cheaped out again, I just return their big gift without them knowing. If they got off of my list, I just go, oh, wait, I forgot your other gift in the car. This year I got a small pack of store brand coffee and cookies. They got a $10 body wash set and a scent I don't like. I returned the popcorn maker already. Am I the butthole for blowing up at my mom for messing with my hair? So I'm multiracial, dad is black, mom is half white and mixed, and I feel like I have a good family, but pretty much all my life mom's made it very clear that she hates my hair. My siblings both have wavy soft hair, but mine is a lot more wild and curly. I don't mind. I usually fro it out or cornrow it, it's never been an issue for me. But my mom can't stand it. She's always wants to pick at it, comb it out, hard, she's not gentle, so ouch, iron it. She nags me non-stop to shave it, and when I refuse she gets mad. She always compares my hair to my siblings and says, why couldn't you just have hair like them too? Your hair will be the death of me. While she's angrily picking at it because she guilted me into letting her fix it for the 900th time. She says it's because she doesn't want people making fun of me. She's used that same excuse since I was little, but nobody has said anything to me about it ever. It's only ever been her that's had a problem with it. I don't want to make it seem like she's a bad mom or anything. She's not. It's just on this one thing she never lets up. Calmly explaining to her that I like my hair the way it is and can do it myself does no good. I've tried. She thinks that my hair isn't truly just mine because she's my mom, so it's also hers too. So finally this morning while I was getting ready for work I reached my breaking point. It's cornrowed right now and growing out slightly. I just gel it a little bit and it looks fine. But she sees me in the bathroom and she storms right in and says, "Oh my God. Caleb, that's my name, it's out of control, let me fix it." I tell her it's fine, I don't need her to fix it, but she says it's not fine. "You can't see the back." I can. I guess she found a few loose hairs in the back and she tried untangling them and ends up pulling hard and it was right on the back of my neck and that crap hurt a lot, and I finally just snapped. I turned around and yelled and cussed at her mom. I said, "Don't touch my freaking hair. Get the frick off me." She just stared at me stunned for a second and says that she was just trying to help, but I wasn't having it at that point and I kept yelling to stay the frick away from me. Don't touch my hair ever again, and if she does it one more time I'm packing up my crap and moving out. I'm 18. She just stands there staring at me and then her eyes get all teary and she leaves. I finish getting ready and storm out of the house furious even though my shift doesn't start for another 2 hours. Now I'm sitting in my car still fuming but also feeling really guilty, and my sister's texting me telling me how bad I made mom cry and that I need to apologize because I went too far. And I want to apologize, but I'm just so sick of this crap and I'm pretty sure if I don't take full blame and just allow things to continue the way they are she's not gonna accept my apology anyways. I feel so bad but I'm just so frustrated too. I know I shouldn't have cussed at her though. Edited for formatting. Not the butthole sounds like this was a long time coming. Be careful, a mother's tears can make a child excuse all kinds of nastiness. Not the butthole. She can say she was just trying to help but you made it clear that you did not want her fussing with your hair and she continued to do so. Just because she's trying to help and your mom isn't an excuse. If she had listened to your wants, she wouldn't have been snapped at. I'm assuming, lightly, that you have black hair and it's difficult for her to deal with if neither herself nor her other kids have that kind of hair. It requires a certain kind of care and maintenance and she shouldn't make you feel bad about your hair or wish you didn't have it. It's something you should be proud of. Maybe she needs a lesson in how to deal with that kind of hair, whether through a more experienced friend, online tutorials, or a barber that specializes in it. Not the butthole. We moms can be too damn pushy and not realize it sometimes. You have every right to be frustrated over her not respecting a boundary you set, though you know you could have handled it better. Hopefully you two can talk it out and you can let her know it's upsetting to you. You explained your frustrations well here, maybe try and do the same for her at home. Not the butthole. Your mom is being somewhat racist and entitled, in my opinion. Your natural hair is part of you, and your body autonomy. Am I the butthole for cooking things I know my husband doesn't like? I do 100% of the cooking in our home. We share other household responsibilities and I don't really mind because I enjoy cooking. We both work full-time and share pretty equally in expenses. We've been married for 15 years and it seems like the list of things he doesn't like just keeps getting longer. He also insists on giving all the meals I cook grades despite me repeatedly asking him to stop. A equals he really likes it, F equals he won't eat it. I know he doesn't like curry, anything with an Indian or Chinese flavor, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, most healthy grains, squash, any meal without enough carbs and meat. He also won't eat leftovers. Recently, I've decided that since he gives many of my approved meals grades a B or C and doesn't seem to appreciate the time I put into preparing dinner each night, that I will just cook what I like some nights. I've also been trying to cook healthier, low carb, low fat meals some nights because we both need to eat better. Some nights it's something he likes, some nights it's something I know he doesn't like. I'll tell him what we are having and if he wants to order out or make himself something else, that's fine. The other night he ordered pizza instead of trying the chicken curry dish that I made and said that if I'm cooking something he doesn't like I need to pay for the food he orders. I told him he can eat whatever he wants to, but I'm not cooking him a special meal or paying for his takeout. He says I'm being in butthole and even got his mother involved. My Mill said she would never cook something for dinner that she knew her husband didn't like. For the record, since my Phil retired he does all of the cooking. Not the butthole. The menu at my house includes 2 options. Take it, or leave it. Sounds like he wants a private chef, not a wife. Not the butthole. Not the butthole. He was in butthole when he decided to give your food letter grades. He's not your friggin' supervisor. But this really sealed the deal. And even got his mother involved. There is no excuse for dragging Mummy Dearest into this argument. He sucks. Also, his limited palate does not give him carte blanche to demand that all food fit his preferences. It sucks when you don't get to eat good food because someone else refuses to try new things. Tell him what I tell my kids: I'm making one healthy filling meal for all of us, and if you choose not to eat it, there's PBJ or cereal in the pantry and fruit in the bowl. If you want to be really accommodating, you can agree that you will cook the food he wants n days a week, where n is a number that works for you. And as I don't eat leftovers thing is nonsense. Leftovers are efficient and they cut down on cost and work for the cook. Demanding a from scratch meal every single day is selfish as heck. If I were you, I'd be tempted to make a big batch of meat and potatoes, or whatever his thing is, one day a week and then cook what you want the other days. He can choose between leftovers of something he likes or the healthy food that you are eating. I would cook nothing but F dishes just to be petty. Not the butthole.